A woke queer activist smears a black woman as a Nazi for believing in biology, plus a woke dad commits voter fraud, and people are attracted to forks now. We're going to react to the craziest voice notes you guys sent in with your woke horror stories and your personal situations in this episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas from across the internet, our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. Up first, we've got a real doozy because a caller called in to let us know about the time she was smeared as a Nazi as a black woman herself by a woke roommate because she believes in biology. Yeah, seriously, let's take a listen and brace yourself because this one is quite something.
Hey Brad, this is Kadish, and I would just like to talk about how I have a woke, crazy roommate. So I'm in the military, and I had a roommate who was part of the LGBTQ. Now, I would not care about, the LGBTQ people, even trans people, etc. My issue is when you start conflating definitions and telling me, a woman, a female, adult human female, what I am, and trying to say you're the same thing with me and trying to gaslight, going to women's sports, etc. I would tell her this, and she would gaslight me by telling me about how me as a black woman should know how it feels to be dehumanized as a person. She would say that my definition of biology and the way that I learned biology is what she would call second grade biology. And she said that I have such a closed minded worldview of what gender is because she's like, whoever told you about male and female being the only sex, woman and man, they taught you elementary biology and you need to educate yourself. And ever since, she's always been passive aggressive with me and calling me, a Nazi because I'm black and I am, of course, conservative, not Republican, just conservative.
Wow. So this story was wild, but then it gets at the end like actually diabolical. It is diabolical to tell a black woman she is a Nazi because she believes there are two sexes. Have we really lost the plot that much? I fear that we have, at least some people in this country, because first things first, like you're entitled to your opinion. And she doesn't have to agree with you. She can have her own opinion, but she should at least treat you with some basic courtesy and respect and not call you names or tell you you should know better as a black woman. Actually sounds kind of racist to me, especially because it's so funny. These woke liberal types will say things like, listen to black women. Then when black women start telling them things that aren't 100% in alignment with like their social justice ideology, it's suddenly not those black women. Those black women need to shut up because they're bigots and Nazis. All right, but in all seriousness, rest assured that you're not crazy. There are only two sexes. And while, yes, that is basic biology, it is also advanced biology. I mean, I would point you to my friend, Dr. Colin Wright, a PhD evolutionary biologist who has written a lot about this for the Wall Street Journal, for his own Substack, for other publications, explaining that there are two human sexes, male and female, because sex is defined by the size of your gametes, the structure of your reproductive system, whether it's oriented towards the production of sperm or egg, and there is no third gamete. There's no sperm, egg, or what. So there is no third sex. There's no other option. There are some extremely statistically rare cases of people who are sexually ambiguous. Even most of those can actually be categorized into male or female, but you're not crazy and you're understanding. Obviously, biology is a complicated subject and there's nuance to all of this, but your understanding of the fact that there are two sexes is not dehumanizing anyone. Reality can't be dehumanizing. Reality is not oppression. Facts can't be hate facts, and we can't cede to these bullies. And when they try to smear you, to shut you down, call you a Nazi or whatever, it does such a disservice because they've just thrown that around like candy on Halloween for so long. They've watered it down to the point of meaninglessness. And you should call her out. You should stand up to her. But more than anything, you shouldn't let people like this get you down because there is absolutely nothing wrong with you being who you are, thinking for yourself, and stating your opinions loudly. And Thank you for your service. Okay, up next, we're going to take a listen to somebody whose woke dad is so Trump deranged he committed a serious federal crime. But first, make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and we'll get into this voice note after this. Have you ever thought about being a YouTuber? It's a daunting prospect, but it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever done professionally. Key to the success of any great YouTube channel is, of course, the content, but also great thumbnails. And thanks to today's sponsor, Opus Clip, you no longer need to hire an expensive thumbnail designer to get started. Their new feature, Opus Clip Thumbnail, is a one-click AI thumbnail generator. Users simply paste in an unlisted or public video link, and they extract key information to automatically generate personalized, high-performing thumbnails. This transforms a process that can take hours or even days into one that takes minutes and is completely free. For example, I put in a clip from one of my podcasts from a few weeks ago where I discussed the arson attack on Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and implore people to set politics aside and condemn the violence. It came up with this really cool thumbnail just minutes later. Head to the link on screen and in the description to get started and check out this cool new feature from Opus Clip and all their other services that make getting started in content creation easier than ever before. Check it out now, you'll be glad you did. So I know some people hate Trump, and look, I have plenty of criticisms of him and his administration, but I would never, ever, ever be so Trump deranged that I commit serious federal crimes with potential jail sentences just in some sort of futile effort to stop him. But that's the scenario that one caller's father found himself in. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Brad. My name is Jennifer. I'm conservative. But my dad, well, he claims to be a liberal, but that's only a political title. So I'm of age to vote. And during the last election cycle, my dad had asked me who I'm voting for. And I told him I wasn't going to vote because I didn't like either candidate, Trump and Biden.
Fair.
Later on, I had privately changed my mind, but he didn't know this. Either way, I had changed my mind. And while I was at school, I was at home when we had this discussion, but later on I went to school and I got an email that my ballot has been received. And I was confused because I didn't vote. And when I had called the Board of Elections, they told me that my ballot with my name has been sent. And I asked them to send me a picture. And sure enough, there was my ballot with my name and a forged signature. So yeah, my dad not only stole my vote, but he stole my brother's vote, my mom's vote. At this point, he's a professional voter. And I didn't pursue any charges. I didn't take it any further because I didn't want him to be persecuted because even though this is a crime, I would have been blamed. So yeah, thanks.
I'm a little bit speechless. I am not gonna lie, but your dad, I mean, there are so many levels by which this is so indefensible and so insane. First off, I love these like liberal men who are feminists stealing their wives' and daughters' votes and like voting for them because they can't be trusted to make up their own minds. These silly women need a man to overrule them. The hypocrisy is astounding. But seriously, like, it is insane to do this. Partially because, like, listen, the election was never going to come down to like 2 or 3 votes. Okay, so doing this was just stupid. It was never going to make any difference, and it is a very serious federal crime to do this kind of thing. If he was actually caught and prosecuted for it, he could face jail time in a federal prison over this. Now, look, I don't blame you for not reporting him. I would have a very hard time because I'm somebody who really values family. I'd have a really hard time turning in a family member for a crime unless they like seriously hurt somebody. Obviously, it's a different story then, but like if they just did something like this that is totally wrong, but at the end of the day, not that consequential, I wouldn't want to see my mom or dad behind bars for something like this personally. So I don't blame you for not turning him in. But what he did is absolutely unacceptable. He deprived you. He stole from you your right as an American to cast a ballot for who you think should lead the country, just like he gets to. And he sent a really profoundly disrespectful message to you, to your mom, to your brother, to anyone else caught up in his insane illegal scheme, that he doesn't respect you and he doesn't think you're smart enough or capable enough to make up your own mind about things. And I think you should sit him down and call him out for this. Maybe as a family, maybe everybody have some kind of intervention to put him in his place, because he is totally entitled to have whatever woke views that he wants, to love Kamala Harris. I think they're still selling Dr. Fauci bobbleheads somewhere on the internet if he wants one, but he absolutely does not have the right to do this to his family members. And you guys, while I understand not wanting to pursue the legal path against your own father, I get that. That's human. You guys should really, really make sure he knows just how wrong this is. And if he can't acknowledge that and won't apologize, you would be well within your rights to distance yourself from him or draw some serious boundaries, because this is profoundly disrespectful and unacceptable behavior. And I'm really sorry that he did this to you. It's just not okay at all. Up next, apparently some people think the American flag now makes other people unsafe. Seriously, let's take a listen to this voice note.
Hi, Brad. So I live in an apartment building above the town square, and the town square is where they do all kinds of things. It's where they have the Christmas tree, and so apparently, um, in June they do a bunch of gay pride stuff right outside my window. Well, I didn't know that, and I have an American flag in my window, so it being May, they're starting to get ready to do this whole June thing, and with the gay pride stuff. So I got contacted and told that some people in the LGBT whatever community get offended by the flag, saying that it represents the state and Donald Trump, and the people are trying to take their rights away and all this other stuff. So they want me to take the flag down. And I don't know what the penalty will be for not doing it, but should I take it down? Should I leave it up? I'm really at a loss for words on what to do.
Wow. So, again, another insane story. Really sorry this is happening to you. Totally indefensible and ridiculous. If an LGBT person feels unsafe at the sight of an American flag, like, that's a them problem. They need to go to remedial therapy and work on it, because they clearly lack the emotional resilience of a functioning adult. And it's not anyone else's fault to like make the whole world a bubble wrapped safe space for incredibly fragile, ridiculously fragile people like that. And you have zero obligation to do that for other people. So I also think this is not even true for most LGBT people. Maybe there's a couple wokies here or there who might complain, but 99% of them are not triggered by an American flag. Many of us would even proudly fly it in our own home. So that's absurd and ridiculous. And obviously the American flag stands for our country as a whole. It doesn't stand for a particular government or for Trump, or it's not like, even if it was a MAGA flag, I mean, it's still your free speech right to put it up. If people feel unsafe because of it, so be it. They don't have a right to constant comfort in their fifis, but it's not even that. It's just the flag for our amazing country. So yeah, I think the fact that you received this request is absurd. Now, what to do about it depends a little bit on information that I don't think was included in the voice note, which is, who asked you to take it down, and do you own this property, or are you a renter of some kind? So if it was the local government, like the public, because you said this is a public space that's like rented out for pride, if some city official told you or asked you to take it down, then what you should do is simply tell them to off. Tell them to pound sand. Tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, or just reply to them with a screenshot of the text of the First Amendment. And if they do anything to try to take action against you or tell you you have to do it, let me know. I will put you in touch with my friends at the Nonpartisan Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, or another free speech group, and you can sue them and you will win, I believe. Now, it's a little different story if you, for example, live in an apartment complex or a dorm or some kind of building that's owned by other people and they're the ones who requested that you take it down. In that case, I would say you should argue with them and you should put up a fight. But at the end of the day, they may have the right to make you do it, because if you sign like a lease agreement or what have you, there may be some policy in there that says like they can tell you what to hang in your window and what you can't. So you may have fewer options there, but one option might be to publicly announce to the people or threaten the company that if you make me do this, I will make a public stink and I will say this company thinks the American flag is hateful and shameful. And I will put you on blast and make sure everyone who might rent here in the future knows that's how you feel about our American flag. If you do that, they might cave to you. But like I said, if you are a renter of some kind and you don't actually own the building, you might not ultimately have the legal right to take a stand. So definitely, I think make sure you are aware of what your situation is on that front. But if you own this, if this is a home you own in any capacity, tell them all to pound sand and stand up for our American flag. And if other people don't like it, that's a them problem. Up next, apparently some people are now attracted to forks. And if you don't enthusiastically join in on that, you might be a bigot, an evil meanie bigot. Let's take a listen to another voice note.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you about something that happened at my college. I go to I would say maybe more of a liberal college in person, and oftentimes I sit in the student center while waiting for my next classes. And I was sitting at a table with a bunch of kids around me, a little bit younger than me, maybe a little bit older, I'm not sure. And they started talking about being sexually attracted to objects such as forks and chairs and stuff like that. And when I didn't say anything, they
Oh,
tried to get me into the conversation. I'm not really, I would say, conservative. I'm more of an independent, but obviously I had no idea what that even meant. And when I didn't respond, they started to get really defensive at me and say uh, I wasn't helpful or really interested in helping gay people. And I have no idea what being attracted to objects is related to gay people at all. So I'd really like your advice about what I'm supposed to do in this situation, because I still go to college there and I don't want to be stuck in this situation again.
wow. Gen Z is so cooked. You can't draw this too broad a conclusion from stuff like this, but sometimes you hear stuff and you're just like, what is this world coming to? I'm happy to clarify for you, on behalf of gays everywhere, that being attracted to utensils does not, in fact, have anything to do with being gay or lesbian or bisexual. And you don't have to be enthusiastic about that or openly supportive of that in order to be, somebody who's accepting of gay people. That's actually not a thing. The math there is not mathing. That's a bizarre extrapolation by people who clearly these people are spending way too much time on TikTok and are having some of the brain rot seep through their skulls and maybe give them permanent brain damage. Now, it's actually strange that people feel like they have the right to engage you publicly in a conversation about sex stuff and then insult you or kind of besmirch you if you're not comfortable, if you don't want to engage. It is totally acceptable for you, especially if these are people you don't even know very well, to say, oh, sorry, I'm not comfortable talking about that kind of thing. Thank you. And then going back to your business. And if they don't accept that, I mean, that's almost them harassing you. That's almost them sexually harassing you and them being sex pests. And if they are really persistent about it, you could report them to the university. But in all seriousness, you can just draw a boundary and say, hey, I don't really want to talk about sex stuff with you guys. So I'll just sit this one out. Thanks. And then go back to your book or your laptop or whatever. That's not optional that they accept that. And they don't get to call you a bigot for it. Or I guess they can call you whatever they like, but that doesn't mean that it's true or that those words really have much power. And I would say that in terms of the broader social repercussions of you taking that kind of a apparently controversial stand, I don't think that even at a very liberal college or institution, people will really judge you for it, and the ones that will are probably lame. They're probably no fun. They probably have no sense of humor. So I would say just draw the boundaries. Don't care what they think of you. Don't care if their feelings get hurt. They can cry about it. I don't know. Like, at some point, we've just got to stop indulging and enabling these people. And if this is really a persistent issue, I doubt this will really be a persistent issue that you'll run into often. Sounds like just one weird group of people, and don't let them get you down, and don't let them gaslight you into thinking that you have to enthusiastically endorse and embrace kitchen kinks in order to be a supporter of gay people. That's not a thing, and you're well within your rights to gently rebuff them when they try to force this kind of thing on you, because it's weird and it's incoherent. Up next, we've got a heartening voicemail for once, where we learn that our first responders are getting educated by very serious people and just learning, the objective facts and truth. Just kidding. They're pushing insane DEI pseudoscience on first responders, apparently. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name's Amanda, and I work in public service, think fire, police, or EMS, so it's a very stressful job. We had some DEI training mandated. HR told us that straight white men can't be discriminated against. They said that they can individually, but they cannot systemically, based to capitalism in our society. When this was pushed back in saying that maybe there are other outcomes due to other issues like socioeconomic status, the instructor said it all came down to race, which we didn't agree with, but they also went into sex and gender expression, gender identity, and compared us to clownfish, saying that clownfish naturally biologically transition in the wild from male to female. They also wanted to bring in a genderbread man, which is a picture of a gingerbread
No.
man, which they should be a gingerbread person, honestly, that has labels on it, and then make us label a blank one for this gingerbread man, which should be genderbread man. But anyway, they also had us learn pronouns, and it was the per self, purse, zer self, my favorite, the ears, and ear self. So I just wanted your opinion on that. I treat everyone with respect, regardless of their backgrounds or what they identify as in my job. I just thought this was interesting.
Wow. Well, first off, thank you for the work that you do. First responders are really important, and the work they do is really admirable. And I'm not surprised, but I'm glad to hear that you treat everybody with respect. And of course, you would never discriminate against anybody in your job, because you have to treat everyone in this kind of thing, whether they're black, gay, trans, whatever. Just do your job, be professional, be respectful, be courteous. But the problem with so much of this DEI stuff is that it goes well beyond those kinds of basic, non-discrimination policies and those sorts of things, into all sorts of like bizarre reverse discrimination and absurd pseudoscience. Like, I hate when they bring up the clownfish thing, because it's actually true that clownfish can be both sexes, or can go from male to female, and in this totally different form of kind of biological function than humans have. But humans aren't clownfish. It's like a totally irrelevant and pseudoscientific point. It's like saying, well, birds can fly, so humans can fly. Huh? That's not how things work. Humans cannot change their sex. There's never been a human being in existence that's gone from producing sperm to producing egg, or vice versa. It's not a thing. And I'll just be honest, it is not reassuring to me that this kind of bizarre pseudoscientific nonsense has seeped into even areas of life and death, like first responders. Now, no, like, ambulance drivers aren't going to mess up and get someone killed just because they were subjected to dumb lectures. But it makes me wonder if serious people are in charge, if people with discernment and good judgment and sound logical thinking are in charge of these important organizations and institutions. Because if they were, they wouldn't be spending taxpayer money bringing in DEI consultants to teach this kind of absurd nonsense. It is seriously not good. You should consider, honestly, contacting the media with proof about it, that it can be reported on. Or, in addition, some of this stuff, like if they're teaching stuff that is essentially discriminatory against white men, they may actually be violating federal laws, federal anti-discrimination laws or state anti-discrimination laws, and you could report them to various tip lines or helplines, especially with the Trump administration in charge. I think they would like to know if federal or local governments or even private organizations are teaching DEI trainings that violate the Civil Rights Act. So I think you're not without recourse here, and you should definitely explore what options you might have. You could even do some of this anonymously to not get in trouble, like just leak it to the media or leak it to me if you have receipts and proof on all of it. But yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And more broadly, it's very disturbing to me how much this stuff has seeped into our society. We desperately need to put adults back in charge, especially on matters of life and death. Like, it's really not too much to ask that they keep the woke shit out of stuff where people's lives are on the line. It's really not. Up next, these streamers had their kids threatened for playing a Harry Potter game. Let's take a listen to a truly horrifying voicemail.
Hey Brad, name's Dave. So back when that game Hogwarts Legacy came out, me and my wife were streaming it, and we didn't know that J.K. Rowling had, said anything on Twitter or anything. And we were just really excited because we both love Harry Potter. That night, we had about 3 times as many people in our chat, and all of them were just hurling all kinds of abuse at us. What they would do to us, how many times they would pour grape soda into every orifice we have, if you know what I mean, what they do to our children. They even started tweeting to us pictures of our house and our children on the way to school. So I ended up blocking about 15,000 people that night between Twitch and YouTube. And we eventually had to sell our house and move because none of us felt safe. So, I used to call myself an ally, live and let live, but I can't anymore. Not after that. These people are absolutely insane, and I do not and will not ever support them again.
Yeah, look, I understand your frustration. I understand why you feel that way. I don't consider myself an ally to like extreme trans activists either, and that sounds like who you ran afoul of, and I've encountered it too. They are unhinged and some of the nastiest people on the internet. That said, I would certainly encourage you to draw a distinction between those people and, a lot of other LGBT people who aren't like that. And I'm sure you do. You seem like a logical and sensible guy, but I am so sorry this happened to you and your family. You guys did absolutely nothing wrong by playing a video game that millions of people enjoyed and bought that wasn't political in any way, shape, or form. The idea that you can't play that because J.K. Rowling tweets offensive things about trans people is so ridiculous and so absurd. I mean, we don't apply this standard to any like movie or game or film. Has any of its creators or the people involved with its production ever said something that upset a lot of people? It's just stupid. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like the game is somehow harming trans people or something. It's not at all. And even if it was, to be quite clear, to be crystal clear, that wouldn't justify any of the stuff with your kids or even the hate. But it's not even that. It's like multiple levels removed from that. These people are just unhinged, and what they did to you is not okay. How they targeted your kids is not okay. And I'm so sorry this happened. I completely denounce this kind of thing. And this militant wing of the trans activism community, I think that's why people are turning against all this stuff, because that approach repulses people. It really does. It absolutely repulses people, and it should, because it's evil and it's demonic. And doxing and targeting people's kids like that is far worse than anything J.K. Rowling has ever tweeted times 100 on steroids. So these people are sick. Good for you for blocking them. I'm so sorry you guys were subjected to all of that. And can we just, as a rule, leave people's kids alone? No matter how much you hate them, no matter how much you disagree with their opinions or their takes, even if they're a prominent political commentator, their kids didn't do anything. Okay, so if you find yourself talking about their kids, going after their kids, photographing their kids, anything, you're sick. And you should probably be checked into a psych ward against your will, honestly. Just leave kids alone. Just don't be insane towards people just because they enjoy a piece of art that you have some bizarre political campaign against. This is not how you win friends and influence people, guys. It is simply not. And you're just victimizing innocent families in the process and making your own cause look extreme, radical, and distasteful to every single normal person in the world. So I wish I could say I was surprised by this story, but I really don't find it hard to believe at all. I followed the controversy at the time. Major streamers faced vicious backlash just for playing this massively popular game because of its affiliation with J.K. Rowling. It's insane and a sign of the times that hopefully we're slowly but surely starting to move away from. Up next, we've got an interesting question about a change that I made to the introduction of this show.
Hi, Brad. I just want to say I'm a huge fan of your show. I've been watching for quite some time now, and I don't have any personal experience to share with you, but I do have a really quick question. I've been watching for a long time, and something that I do remember quite frequently are your introductions, and I'll notice I'll even be saying them to myself as I'm going through about my day. And I had noticed over the past few months, just going back and watching old videos, that you had used to say from a center right moderate perspective, and then you changed it to center right independent perspective, and now you just say independent perspective. And I was wondering why over the course of time you think you have changed the way you have done your introductions. Was it because of opinions changing for you, or was it just the introductions became a bit of a mouthful? Just a little thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's something that you had ever talked about, so apologies if you already have, but that's all I was curious about. And again, love your show so much, so much, and I always look forward to watching it. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you for tuning in, and you're a real one if you've been following for that long this show. But I've gotten this asked in the comments a couple times, and I should absolutely clarify it. My political views have not meaningfully changed on, except, one or two issues here or there since like 2019. They really haven't. A lot has changed around me. Like, what do Republicans believe or agree with or support has changed quite a bit, but my actual views are basically the same. I still consider myself right of center politically, absolutely. I'm a hardcore free speech person. I'm a hardcore capitalism person. I'm a limited government person. I'm a constitutionalist. But I think I stopped saying center right because I realized that it might be turning off a lot of potential liberal or left of center people who tune in and listen. I don't want them to instantly hear that and think, oh, he's on the other side, or oh, he doesn't like me. There's just something a little bit constraining about that framework in maybe people's brains and their mindsets, that I want them to be open to my content and my message. And I don't want something in the introduction that's potentially off-putting to people. That was my thought process onto why I switched up the wording. It's not something I gave a ton of thought to. It's just a thought that I had and a small change that I made. But that is why I did that. It was a deliberate choice. It wasn't just kind of me saying something different off the cuff. But it wasn't this super deep thing that represents me like changing my views or anything like that, which I think is how some people have interpreted it, which isn't quite right. So totally legit question. Also shows that you're a real one and have been following for a while. So thank you so much. Totally appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys who tune in every week and make this show possible. And we'll leave it there for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Our Voicemail Friday episodes are honestly probably my favorite ones to record, the most fun, most interesting, and the least stressful in terms of the constant news cycle and just things stressing me out and making me anxious. But I love hearing from you guys. I love having a back and forth. And I think the content ends up being really interesting and unique. So thank you so much. The link to send voice notes is in the description below. If you've got a woke horror story or a non-political personal situation you want my thoughts on, please do send one in. Guys, if I haven't played yours yet, I might still. I'm just working through the backlog of them and picking ones out here and there because I've gotten so many, but I still want more. I want more. Send me more. So the link is in the description. Definitely check it out. Thanks to Opus Clip for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new around here. Do hit that like button before you go. And with that, we'll talk again real soon.